Welcome everybody to the Capability Framework workshop. I'm Susan Scowcroft, I'm the facilitator for this workshop. I'm the Executive Director of the New South Wales Community Services and Health Industry Training Advisory Body, and looking forward to working with you as we go through the agenda and the activities for the Capability Connections. We're going to look initially at the background of the Capability Framework, where it came from and what inspired it, and I guess what we're hoping the Capability Framework will be able to do for the workforce, for the support workforce. I will then take you through a little bit of Capability Framework trivia. Moving on from that, we're going to be looking at the changes. What's new in the Capability Framework? The Capability Framework is now available online, and we've revised it, so we'll be looking at what those revisions mean and how you can access them and what they might mean to you and your organisation. Then there'll be a couple of activities. An activity will be unpacking each of the 5 domains. Each of the 5 domains recognise the essential knowledge and the essential skills needed for the support worker in the high intensity area, and we'll be looking at unpacking those domains to see the relevance to each of your support workers in your organisation. And then the final activity will be looking at how, in certain areas, how will you be able to integrate the Capability Framework into management practices that you currently do so well in your own organisation. Are there opportunities for this resource, for this tool, to actually inform some of those practices and provide you with another tool, another support in doing that? Right, now it's time for a little bit of trivia. A few questions and answers from you around the Capability Framework. I'd just like you to quickly jot down whether you believe this question to be true or false. The first one. The Capability Framework has been developed as a tool to support organisations to review and assess their learning and development programs and resources. True or false? Number 2, it is mandatory to implement the Capability Framework within your management practices. Number 3, the essential knowledge and skills recognised within the Capability Framework represent everything a support worker needs to know. Question 4. The rating scale is awarded to each area in the Capability Framework by an external assessor in partnership with someone from your organisation. And the last question, question 5, the Capability Framework sets out the training content and training program for your organisation and support staff. So let's get to the basics. We've just done a bit of the background, where the capability framework came from, why it was instigated, why it was thought about in the first place. So predominantly, as I've really said now several times, but I can't stress it really too much, it is a mapping tool. That's what it's there for. So I like to think, and if you think about it maybe in the terms that I like to think about it, if you think about, I don't know, our bodies. We all look pretty different, but underneath it all, we've actually got a skeleton. And that skeleton is, you know, more or less a bit roughly similar. So if you think about this tool being the bones, being the skeleton of this workforce, that's really what it's doing. It's benchmarking, it's providing what it is that we think a competent and capable high intensity support worker would actually know and do. How that person gets there, in other words, what puts the flesh on the bones, is up to you guys to a very large degree. That's what you do. That's what your training and your professional development and your orientation and your service does. You mould me into just what you want. What are the changes? This is an updated, modern version. And one of the things that ASIA has been able to do in this update is to allow it to be available online. When you go online, there's a little drop down. Any page except the definitions page. Don't open that one because that doesn't have one. Definitions are just definitions. But there's a little, the very first column on the left has self-assessment and it has drop down. And when you are online, the drop down comes 3, 2, 1. 3, best practice. I've had a look at my resources, my learning and development, my whatever it is, what I'm doing as the L&D person or as somebody who's been nominated, you know, sitting in the wrong seat at the wrong time, point the finger. I'd like you to have a look at our learning, our training modules around that include manual handling. You have a look at this, you see the essential knowledge and the essential skills that are mentioned there, you look at what you're doing and you say, best practice. Our resources, our training, our whatever actually doesn't need any updating at the moment. It's fabulous. Or you could do 2. What 2 means is, I think it would be a really good idea if we got, if we revised that. We just need to look at it again. Maybe there's new legislation. Maybe there's OH&S, WHS regulations that have come in that actually haven't yet been integrated into our learning resources. So I can flag that as something that I think as an organisation we should start working on. So now it's time for me to hand over to you. What I'd like you to do is take your copy of the capability framework. There are 5 domains. And I'd like you to analyse, review each of those domains and to answer the following questions. Which of the capabilities in the domain are required or are essential for all support workers? You can highlight the essential knowledge and skills that you believe are essential for all support workers. So for each of those domains, if you can identify in the essential knowledge and skills the activities that are essential for all support workers, go to it. Please press pause while you complete this activity. Welcome back. Hope you've done lots of work in your activities, and this is what we came up with on the day.
So I guess in regards to regulation, we thought that there was some that were essential and some that weren't, depending on the participant group and the target group of the organisation. And while, at a sort of a management level, they would know them all, how much is needed at a support level. Obviously, privacy principles and work health and safety, essential of course, but the other one's sort of dependent on what programs you're funded to provide and what you're providing to the person.
We felt on the manual handling side, even though there are some high intensity supports around hoisting and transferring, we felt that manual handling generally, it was 100% of staff needed to have that training. The second area, personal hygiene and grooming, we felt 100% there again, because obviously it's a core requirement of supporting people with any type of disability, brain injury or spinal cord injury.
So the first area was dysreflexia management. We felt that initial training in orientation was essential for support workers across the board for dysreflexia management. They need to be given the knowledge of what it is, how to recognise it, what to do in an emergency situation. Moving on to diabetes. It was felt that individualised training would be more appropriate rather than across the board for support workers, depending on, not all clients have diabetes, and so we felt that individualised training for those support workers going to those clients was the way to go.
Right, this is the final activity for the day. This activity is about making the connections, the capability framework connections into your management practices. When you're looking at each of those management practice areas, if you could focus on the following three ideas. What is the development opportunity? How can you use the capability framework for the management practice? Benefits. Why? What are the clear benefits of integrating the capability framework into your organisation in this area? And responsibility. Who in your organisation would be the most responsible? Who should have the oversight, if you like, overseeing, implementing the integration of the capability framework into these practices? Please press pause while you're completing this activity in your groups or on your own, and then come back. Welcome back. I hope that activity went really, really well. Here's what we came up with on the day. For audits, compliance, reporting and funding.
The development opportunity, developing policies and procedures that are in line with the framework, continuous improvement, so self-assessments, internal audits, etc. Creating training that's relevant and ensuring compliance to meet relevant practice standards. The benefits would be quality, consistency and high standards, and the responsibility would be the quality manager, consultation with senior management and clinical teams, relevant stakeholders.
Training and professional development.
Obviously, this is a self-assessment audit tool, and so it's very, very useful in terms of being able to identify gaps and non-compliance for particular staff members.
Matching workers' skills to client needs.
The benefits are obviously a more skilled work staff and sort of less workplace incidents, and cost effective for the organisation.
Performance appraisals.
Matching the needs of the participant to the guidelines. So, like we said before, not everyone has diabetes, not everybody has catheters, etc. So we can match it to that. The benefits would be better client choice, happy staff that are trained and have clear skills and understandings. Responsibilities, well, obviously it's management and it's team leaders, but I always ask my staff for input when it becomes a client matter. I don't know the clients like they do.
So thank you all very much for being part of the workshop and the video today. I hope that the activities have been very valuable for you and valuable for your service. I hope that some of the things that you might be taking away from these activities are how the capability framework might be integrated into your management practices in your service. That's the takeaway. This is not a railroad, this is not something that you have to do. This is about how your service and your training and your professional development can be informed by this resource, the capability framework. Thank you very much for all of your participation. Thanks a lot for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed it.